Let's begin.
Okay.
Good to see you again, Mark.
Hi, welcome for Crit 2.
Crit 2. And what's the difference between Crit 1 and Crit 2?
Well, last time we just congratulated ourselves over good pieces. This time we're going to actually critique. So it should be a lot more interesting for people.
That's right.
So this time we're going to show our failures.
That's right. So I've brought with me 4 failures. It doesn't mean I had only 4 failures. I had some others, but I have hopes for the others. So that's why I've held back. You see this painting right side up, correct?
Yeah. It's, your body's at the bottom. Yes, it's right there.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to bring it slightly closer to you. This is again from my Mendocino trip, and I'm going through a tunnel of thicket, and that's my cousin far off, but she really looks like a stick figure.
Okay, all right. Oh, yes, I see her. I thought it was a campfire for a minute with the...
I know, that's why it's a failure, because one can't tell what this is. And we can't, everything's in the center. I can't tell where the light's coming off. So help.
Well, what is the deal with all the black? Like it looks like graphite, liquid graphite or something.
No, it was that bronze thing on my palette, which is now definitely shimmering.
Okay. So it looks like, I mean, the black is super opaque, right? So the situation you have is this lit tunnel. So you're trying to make as much contrast as possible. You're trying to make the white look brighter by as much contrast as possible. But it looks like it got chalky and dry.
Yes.
Right? And it's dark to your eye when you're in that backlit situation, but then in the painting, you just use black. So that's odd. Why? I'm not sure why all the black. Like what about some transmitted color through the leaves somewhere, right? So yeah. And did you use some little white opaque dots to bring
so these are white opaque dots, but this is white of the paper, and that's white of the paper, but
so that's so the little leaf holes are kind of what's critical to sort of see what's going on. So it does look like a forest, right? Or a thicket, as you said, like you're crawling, like you're going through the overhanging branches. That it does look like that, but it doesn't. But because it's black and white, it has this graphicness that doesn't look natural. Like your other dark forest that you showed as a success still looks like the woods, right? Like it still has somber color, So it does seem a bit odd that you went straight to the black. What if you cropped in, like if you bring it higher up, higher up to the tunnel? What if you just cropped right into the tunnel? Yeah, so the closer you get, the more I like it, because there's just less of this sea of black, right? So I think if you crop in, then you can see the figure, and you resolve this sort of tunnel.
Sorry. I'm trying to crop as I.
Yeah, it's tricky and keep the focus. So I think maybe that would look better cropped. That's always something, when I have a bad painting, that's my first thing is like, maybe one section of it looks better. Then you cut everything else off.
Thank you. All of these are black and terrible.
Okay, but this one at least has a Payne's grayish undercolor to it. So,
Yes.
So the other one really turned out like charcoal. It looks like graphite dust or something. So this one doesn't look as chalky. There's a lot more mid-tone, a lot more watery. So this is a dining room. Am I seeing a table?
So the other one had lunar black, which, like you pointed out last time, doesn't get completely black. So lunar black with that bronzite thingy that has mica. And this has moon glow, so it has that bluish tinge.
Okay, that's the undertone, purplish undertone. But the scene is a dining room. It looks like a restaurant.
No, it's again the market, the mercado in Melake, Mexico, but it's in the deeper section of the market.
Okay.
And the photo I took was also heightened black and white, so you could only see the wares, and nothing much.
So I'm suffering, of course, from looking at it in these little windows. Maybe can I maximize your window?
Why don't I do that? I can maybe spotlight for everyone
Yeah.
just for the time being.
Okay, good. That's better. Yes. All right. So now, but it still has a look of I mean, what I see is sort of like almost a pot, like a silver coffee pot and dishes. It looks like a table to me. So it's
Yeah.
stuff they're selling on the market, and I feel I get a feeling of a in restaurant. I suppose if I had the painting in front of me, I could study it. So I see the people. They're these sort of amorphous people, and what looks like Venetian blinds or something in the background.
Yes, yes.
Things hanging down, and so this one is much better for a failure. It's much better. So it has that closeted interior that you've been working on, like in your success one that was an interior. You had that really feeling of the classic John Singer Sargent muted interior light, right? So this has that, yeah, in monochrome. So it's
Okay.
Yeah. Much less of a. That's not a failure. That's much less of a. Why don't I do two of my failures?
Okay, but so the big
Yours and two
failure was, so I wanted to show interest because this passerby he had just bent slightly.
Oh, now I see his face. Yeah, now I
Yeah,
see
but
his
it's
face.
it's very amateurish, and that makes the whole painting also
So
more.
the thing with these, they're kind of abstracted, and the drawing is not the star of these, right? It's
Yes.
the values, I guess that's the star of these. So ultimately, we would love to have a bit of both, right? So yeah, the drawing on the guy. Now I see the guy. I originally didn't even sort of resolve him at all.
Yeah.
So we're on the edge of trying to find the figures. So on the table, you just think, I don't know, what is it? It's plates and cutlery.
Plates and casserole bowls and teacups.
So I could tell even from the thumbnail, that's what I got the impression of. I was thinking it was a formal table setting and a Victorian kind of table setting or something. So maybe it's actually a market of housewares. But you can resolve that even from the thumbnail, but you can't. I didn't see the person. So what actually is that guy's shoulder, perhaps? I thought it was a woman walking away, and that was the back of her head. Is there another character behind the table in the center?
Yes, there is.
And then what about in front of the window under the Venetian?
This one, right? That one just happened.
Yeah.
That happened. So I left it.
Okay, so I saw a woman there, and then if you cover up the face of the character on the edge, just the face. See, I see another woman there. I thought that was the back of a woman's long hair, because she's the same height as the other one.
Yeah.
So the other problem is something of scaling. He is very tall compared to the table.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a gamble when you're doing these really aggressive, brushy things, is losing the drawing.
Yeah.
Was this really fast? Was that a rapid painting?
No, not very fast, actually. Not very fast, but not slow either. Under an hour for sure.
We're gonna do all yours. We'll beat you up and then beat up mine. This isn't a failure. This one is great. What do you mean failure? This is great.
There's one win, but one loss. So okay, so the win is this. I'm gonna trace my finger around a shape I made on top after the painting had finished. Everything under my finger line, I painted a cerulean blue over it to put it in the shadow.
Really? Yes, I see that it's a shadow. I never would have guessed it was a blue, but yes. Yeah. So you divide it into three planes. I would call that three big shapes. Like I've been saying this thing of where, even though it's a million brush strokes, it's really just one shape all across the bottom, one through the middle, and then the sky, right? And I really like the way the sky is full of nothing, and the everything below the center line is so complicated. That has an abstract quality that I really like. It's this completely binary nothingness compared to overload. I actually kind of like that. I don't think this is a failure. I think this is a great kind of modernist take on a city. I mean, is it Mexico as well?
Porto.
Okay, Porto is
Portugal.
Yeah. So it has so it's got the red tiled roofs and the warm color across everything. Yeah. I don't think that's a failure. I mean, again, you're getting the impression at the sacrifice of the rendering, right? You don't care about the perspective, and you don't care about drawing details of the buildings. Like there's no funky little balconies and windows are just blobs. So it really benefits. I'm seeing it over the web, small. This is like if it's on your wall across the room, right? Like when you see the picture, yeah. But actually, this one just keeps getting better as you get closer up. I like it. Yeah, I like this one. But so I can see that one on the wall. Like sometimes watercolors have this problem of they're too finicky. You put them on the wall, back away, and you can't even tell where they are. Like they're so finicky that as you walk across the room, it dissolves. Whereas this has this really bold 3 shapes, which is really kind of 2 shapes, the sky and the bottom. So if you put that at the end of a long hallway, you're still seeing those 2 shapes. And then as you come closer, the detailed shape starts to tell the story of the city. I think this is actually a big win for a wall painting. Yeah. Wow. There's some small things I could pick at, like that one little tiny pole or tree that I'm going to say is on my right hand, right at the edge, up that black thing, right? So this thing right on the edge is going to, and you have another one mirroring on the other side. There's like a little glitch right on the edge of the paper. Yeah. So then those things are distracting to me, being so close to the edge. And then when you frame it, if you were to frame it, then the edge gets even closer to those things. So those are weird, but that's like really being nitpicky. Yeah, I like this. No problem. Okay. That's not.
I'm going to think about it. You've given me different eyes because this was on the chopping block to become gift tags.
So, no. Yeah, that one's great. Just photocopy it and make the gift tags out of color photocopies.
I'll do that. This was done yesterday.
Okay. So why I did this too. So I'm not criticizing, but why is it so important to you to be so fast? Like, why are you being so frantic and sacrificing the drawing?
I have no excuse. It's effrontery.
Sorry, what?
It's effrontery. I just need to slow down. Yeah, and accept it that some things can't be done fast.
So watercolor panics you when you're working in it, right? Because you're sort of like, I have to go while the water is wet. And like, if I go too slow, I won't get the bleed I want. So that's part of it, right? But yeah, so there's this, you have to balance between control and spontaneity. These are definitely on the spontaneity side. So that's the thing. Like if you do 10 and you get one good one, you could say, that's great. That's fine. I like this aggressive style. I don't care if 9 of them fail because one of them is going to be good, like your city view there. This one is not a total failure, but again with the black, that's maybe making it less attractive than it could be. Yeah,
I'm cropping it as we go. Sorry.
Yeah, and the idea of the jungly kind of foliage really reads from a distance, but it's yeah. So yeah, I sort of have to wonder, are we all? Well, you're going to see it in mine too. Are we being too aggressive, trying to force the watercolor to do water things?
I mean, I could have waited, right? What I have learned is to wait after the first glaze, but why not wait after the second one? So the first was the sky that went in, but after this happened, I could have waited to define the car a bit more, because the only way to define the car when it was wet was to make it so strong that it is jarring.
Yeah. You don't want the edges on the car to blur. But then the other thing is that as you're putting in the trees, all that shrubbery with sort of flicky kind of spasm strokes. And so that kind of chaos maybe has to look like chaos, but be more planned maybe, I don't know.
Yes, it has to be more planned. And I could have, and there's no reason why I didn't.
And then in the road, there's all these streaks in the road where, so maybe a person had to stop, mix a cup of color and use a huge brush and get one shape instead of all the streaks in the road. The stuff behind that green gold distance is all great. That's all awesome. It's everything in the foreground where the noisiness and the lack of resolution starts to sort of hurt us, right?
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be shadows of the fronds on the sidewalk?
Yes, that's right. And it's supposed to give you me a direction of where the street lamp is, because if it's so dark a shadow here,
Yeah.
and there's a
Okay, so
supposed to be darker shadow there, so there's tree lights.
yeah,
Street
so that
lights,
gold in the tree is supposed to be this street light penetrating through.
Correct, correct.
Right. So we need some sense of the transmission of color.
Mm,
So the street light, the threshold of the glow is cut off abruptly. There's light and then black. So
mm.
it doesn't bloom like a glow, right?
I like it.
It
I
looks
like how you said it.
cut holes, right? So then we need to get that gold into the black while it's wet, so that it'll interfere with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Okay, I will repeat this now. Thank you. This was good, because we are talk about why always fast, to the threshold of glow versus no glow. It's too distinct and too unreal.
yeah. It just jumps from the darkest to the lightest. Yeah, but the spacing behind should look crazy, because that's making it look farther away because it's unresolved, right?
Yeah.
So there's some of that work is good. Yeah. Okay. So again, if you just cropped into the little square in the center, green square in the center, and just had a couple of fronds coming in, just a couple, then that would probably be a neat little postcard of like looking down the street in Cuba or whatever, wherever you are. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will make some edits, and actually this helps, because if I do make an edit, I'll post it too, so people can see what a crit actually does.
This is much more fun than just saying that your piece is lovely. A much better crit for them.
Yes, over to you now.
Okay, so what are we going to show on the screen? Are you?
I will spotlight your paintings.
Painting view. Okay, so all right. So now you're seeing that, and okay. So these are some of my in Magic Mountain things that we talked about last time that worked even worse. Now, I don't think any of those mountains of the imagination are actually any good, but these are particularly bad. So have at these.
The one on the left is magical. And the reason it's magical, because it has that, it gives me a sense of height. I'm way high up, higher than the mountains. There are ravines all around, or ravine. And then in the middle, there is this floating bed of clouds with the lavender that are coming in. So they're not quiet. They're swooping by and giving you these fluffy stepping stones. And it makes it more fantastic, like fantastical, meaning fantasy filled.
Yes. Well, that's good. Those are all nice things.
And then there's one cloud layer above me I can sense, which is not small, but it's more bulbous or bigger volume clouds behind me. So I find this very, very intriguing, the one on the left.
Yeah. So it's definitely between the two. It's this the better version of this Misty Mountains thing. This one is completely unresolved. So here
also the one on the left, I have not seen these clouds, these two levels of clouds. When I have seen two levels of clouds, both the levels of clouds in your paintings, like closer to Machu Picchu one, they were both misty. Now in this case, one is misty and one is fluffy and flowy. You need it to be small fluffs for it to move with the wind. So it represents two speeds, and I like that. On the second one, there is, so for sure that the resolution, you've not resolved it, but I like it that the front, it's very challenging that the front mountain, you want to do something with it compared to the left, because on the left hand side, it's way too resolved.
This is too sharp, you think?
It's too sharp until the bottom. At the top, yes, you want it to be sharp because the plane of the clouds, but where your finger is, I need it to be starting to get lost again in edges in our value. Yeah. And the right hand side, I think it was a play. I mean, it's not resolved, yes, but also direction of light is not clear.
Well, that is true, because it's sort of not from real life. It's from this imaginary thing. That is true. There's no good light direction. But the thing that I really dislike about these is that the high key mist I just feel like I don't have any tools in watercolor to make these white on white scenes. It looks very weak and patchy to me. There's too much paper. It has a drawing kind of look to it that I don't really like. It just looks flat. Yeah. So I don't know what the basis. Why do you think it looks so flat and cut out? Is that it's because of the lack of real light?
Well, on the left-hand side, if you see, the light seems to come from the left-hand side. And yeah, on between exactly where you got your finger second time around. The right-hand side, because between the left and the right-hand side of the central mountain, there's no shading difference. I can't tell. Going back to your comment about the mist being white, like white on white fuzzy clouds, I mean, white on blue, but similar valued clouds are so hard in watercolors. The closest I've come by was by using white ink. So not ink, the liquid watercolors by Phil Martins or Dr. Martins.
Sure, that's some of them. Kohinoor makes white ink too, as well. Yeah, it's more of a graphic designer thing.
But it doesn't give you the power that maybe oil can give you with a light pink, a light peach, and white. Not white, but light yellow. All of the same values, but residing.
Can I put an oil painting on this and just to like destroy these paintings by comparison?
Yeah,
I'm going to do it even though it breaks the rules. So this is a plein air one that was done in the fog on. So this one's done from standing in the fog, whereas this one's done from sort of this imaginary setting. But this is the thing that I've been really frustrated with, is the ability to mix a light gray and just put it down and actually get the difference between, say, a whiter white and a dirty white, or a couple of different, slightly cooler and slightly warmer, a little more lavender. Like I can't make the watercolor, I can't choose what color I'm getting in a high key, out of focus here, in a high key situation, right?
Yeah.
Focus. Don't you find that it's hard to, well, I just couldn't control it. I couldn't get the watercolor to be like a specific color.
And also the 3D application in oil gives you these shadows on the edges. And those shadows are not dark. They change their values beautifully as per the light incident at that time. So that is so subtle, and it
definitely. But even setting aside impasto versus flat, the flatness of watercolor, just the ability to precisely pre-plan which color, warmth and coolness of a high key color. That's what I think was. I don't have the skill for that in this. I mean, I know it's got to be possible. I'm sure I could Google white on white watercolors and someone can do it. But
got it. Let's see your second.
Okay, and so these are my other failures. So this is this just rocks in the water. So I have these are disasters. This one is particularly a disaster. See, this is what happens.
No. This one has legs. Keep it down so that I see full. Oh, it needs an energetic stroke in the top left quadrant, but it needs to be really tiny, and that's it. Boom.
No, it's terrible. This is what happens when you overdo the black and it becomes chalky and dirty, bleeds out of this black. And yes, I mean, the one thing I like about this is the colors are grayer, at least, like an overcast ocean the seaside day when it's cold and overcast, which is what I was going for. But I just find it kind of spastic, this painting. And, I'm doing a lot of scraping. There was too much paint in this corner, so I used the palette knife in this case, or the old credit card trick to like scrape off color. So I try to put some lights back in. So that's kind of cute, but those are always emergency resuscitation techniques. Like your painting is dead and you're trying to shock it back to life with some scraping.
I think the credit card thing worked. I know it was used to resuscitate, but the resuscitation works beautifully because it gives it a little bit of texture. I like the Yapo kind of feel you are bringing to classic watercolor paper. I don't know how you're doing it. I'm in love with it because the black is not too much. That emphatic black, I'm loving it with a little bit of warmth in the center. The sky, the reason I need some dark shape on the top left is because there's a V of the mountains and there's a V of the clouds. They're very similar shapes and I can feel that rhythm. So it needs to, yes.
That's a bit odd. Yeah. That's a bit odd. So you want some kind of stroke up here to draw your eye,
or a bird, or even a dinosaur, like a pterodactyl, because it has a fantasy feel because it's eerie. So either you want a Loch Ness monster just sticking out its neck at the back, or a pterodactyl.
Yeah. Well, so the other thing that people always say when they're looking at a bad painting, if you could see the reference, you would see what I was trying to do. Which, of course, that doesn't matter if you can't. If the painting's no good without seeing the reference, it's no good. But it's a very subtle, just rocks in a puddle, kind of very quiet, subtle. Beachy type environment, like you could imagine almost a windless day and the rocks are only 1 inch above the water.
Oh wow.
So this is just an out of control rendition. This one's actually closer to what I'm trying to do. So all the things you like about this are like Marc doing crazy painting things, trying to be more interesting, because when I tried to do the subtlety, I just couldn't do it. So
the subtlety, you have a subtle touch, okay, with the clouds and with mountains and all of the painting, and including the pigment on the left hand side, but the shadows are too strong for me, Marc.
This is the only part I like, is this opaqueness over the rock. So if I crop it in that close, it's the only part I like.
I like it. I like your marks there, mark making, but the shadows on the bottom two, rocks or the third, it's too strong. And if it's going to be that strong,
it should not have been indigo. This is indigo. It looks blackish on the screen, but it's bluish. It should not have been such a powerful color. I just am no good at painting water reflections at all. And then they're just this kind of blob. They don't actually reflect the shape. Like they should echo the shape of the rock. Like maybe this one is slightly good, but they're just the reflections look random. So completely lost all the subtleties and then went crazy. These are some good disasters.
The rock, the small rock you pointed out and its reflection, that is really classy. And there's a half tone value variation slide. That's great. See, there's other thing I would mention on the middle rock, in which the shadow, middle and the bottom left rocks that are with shadows which are much darker. I think it could be pulled off if that rock had more texture, because the rocks speak nothing more.
Maybe,
it's come out as one tone, and so it's attracted the viewer, and the viewer says, and then the rock has no more story to tell.
I was trying to lead you down this weird zigzag, like this pattern, which was actually the sort of the whole composition, which is lost in here. Is it's supposed to be like little stepping stones that would take you in. So yep. The other thing I really dislike is this very acidy blue color that's throughout the whole thing. That's some phthalo blue that is too strong for my eye. I much prefer this kind of neutralized gray color. But here, the idea that the sky and the water is the same color, even though I hate this color, here the sky and the water just are like in a different scene.
Not and after you described the photo, because I remember seeing this photo on Facebook that you're talking about the rocks, then I realized that the right hand side and the left hand, what the reference picture was, because until you told me, the right hand side picture looked like the middle mountain. I'm calling it a mountain because it looked like a far off mountain, so there was a lot more distance. But yes, if you had the reference picture, I can see why you felt it didn't work, because unfortunately
I don't have it to show you right now. But Yeah. So, I mean, there's people who are awesome at water reflections, and I suppose I could just train on that. So that would be one thing to help, but it's also my inability to paint a smooth, flat wash that comes from being a travel sketcher. Like my whole tiny palette and piecing shapes together out of small strokes that connect together. So I want all my little small strokes to fuse. You can't get a flat wash that way. So when it comes to trying to do a gradient of a sky or smooth water, I just don't have. That's just something I can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you carry a paper plate next time for big washes so you could throw it?
Well, and you have to mix more paint and put it down wet and let it dry maybe, and then work over top of it. Instead of doing, because when you touch it again, wet, you get all these backwash things going on, which I generally like I use them to make trees or grass or something, right? But then when you try to do a subject where you want something to be like sort of smooth and reflective, then they're trouble again.
I have a question about the cauliflowers. Do you turn your paper a lot?
Nope.
Does it lay flat?
Yes, mostly flat. Like I work very shallow, like it's just at a very shallow angle. So, and this isn't the greatest paper in the world because it was a sketch. So it cockles, it ripples. So then water will sit in the shallow parts of the paper and we'll do that flooding back out. Sometimes if I have a puddle that I know is going to make one of those washers and I don't want that, I'll just soak it up with paper towel or the tip of a brush to suction the puddle off. But here
Did you make the two rock paintings together, in the sense one after the other on the same day?
Oh yeah. These are always, these pairs are because I'm trying 2 shots at getting it done. Yeah.
Okay. And how about the other two?
Same thing. Yeah. Just say like, how do I tackle this subject? And so then the first one that was too foggy, I then redid it and tried to be a little more descriptive. So it tightens up a bit. Sometimes I do the tight one first and get mad, and then I do a more loose one. And then sometimes I do a loose one and it's not resolved enough, so then I do a tighter one.
I like the second one. I mean, the right-hand side, according to you.
What do you eat?
The one with the floating mist, I like.
I think we're probably now recording just my face or something.
No. I've removed your.
Oh, you can see us. Okay. Yeah. All right. So
this was great and enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it's much more interesting to look at your mistakes and think about how you can improve next time than just sort of stumped with like, I don't know how I did that good one. And I'll just put it over here and pray it happens.
That's right. Well, I hope this critique is useful to other people, and I would love to hear from you folks what you thought about it, and comment. So let us know.
Okay, talk to you guys later.